18-year-old Kaylor Ellingson. He was hit and killed by a man driving a car in North Dakota. Now, that is a horrible story. But when you find out it wasn't an accident, it gets bad. When you find out all of the details, it gets much worse. This 18-year-old was out on the street. He was in a street dance, and he called his mom and said, "Mom, can you come and rescue me? I am being chased by Shannon Brandt. Do you know him?" She said, "Yeah, I do. How do you know him?" And he's like, "He's chasing me right now with his car." So when she finally reached him, he was already dead. Shannon Brandt had run over this kid, intentionally killing him. Now, again, that's gotten worse, right? What makes it even worse than all of that is that he's the one who called 911 to report, quote, the crash. Now, he did that after he fled the scene, but he called. And he said, "I ran over him because he was part of a Republican extremist group. And we had a political argument, and he was calling people to come get Brandt." No, he's actually calling his mom and saying, "Help me, Mom, help me." Now, the judge asked him to post $50,000 bail. He says he's not a flight risk. This guy, the most disturbing thing is he doesn't understand. When they say he didn't understand the charges, he was sober during that. He doesn't understand why he can't hit a kid if he calls him a Republican extremist. Thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you. I want to give you one more story. This one is from Berlin. An art festival in Berlin, Germany, offered race-based admission pricing. Now, you want to talk about extremists? We all know what comes out of Germany. According to an ad for the event, white Germans could attend for free or without a donation of their choice. Jews and all other attendees had to pay $80 apiece. The Aryan Feast, Imagining a White World, a 3-hour event hosted last Sunday, sponsored by the Berlin Gallery of Traditional Art, was promoted as a culinary event celebrating white artists and writers through food. At our table, the event description states, guests participate in an experience that weaves together food and art, where experts work with white artists to create a multi-course, vegan, traditional Aryan meal. While guests were eating, they were also regaled with the works of Wagner by the Munich Aryan Orchestra and Chorale. Anybody surprised that Germany would go this way when it is in trouble financially, when the pressures, and why? Why are you not surprised by this story? Hopefully you find it offensive. I know you do. Find it offensive and horrifying. But why? Because the Germans have been trained for a very long time. And the Nazi thing is real. Let me actually give you the right way to read this story. This is actually the real story. An event at an art festival in Portland, Oregon, offered race-based admission pricing. According to an ad for the event, black folks could attend for free or with a donation of their choice. All other attendees had to pay $80 apiece. The Black Feast, Black Imaginarial, a 3-hour event hosted last Sunday and sponsored by the Portland Institute for Contemporary Art, was promoted as a culinary event celebrating black artists and writers through food. At our table, the event description states guests participate in an experience that weaves together food and art, where experts work with black artists to create a multi-course vegan, gluten-free meal based off the artist's work. While guests had their multi-course vegan meal, they were also regaled with interpretive dance.
The only thing you didn't have to change was vegan.
I know.
It worked for both.
I know. It worked for both. So, does anybody notice a problem here? Between the speech that the president gave, just blood red behind him, and Marines standing behind him, he declared that there are undesirables, that there is a disease of vermin in our society. And we now have our first case of violence where the guy doesn't even understand why he couldn't run somebody over if he claims that they were a extremist Republican. You have the seeds being planted right now. Now let me give you another story. This is why we better find our way to our morals and our principles fast. Left-wing activist and Harvard prodigy David Hogg said he would much rather have a Porsche and a Portuguese water dog and golden doodle than children because, quote, it's better for the environment. I'm never planning on having kids. See, here's where we agree. We agree. We can cross lines, right? Can we agree? I agree with David Hogg.
It's nice to come together on something this important.
Yeah, he should never have children. He said, I would much rather own a Porsche and have the water dog and golden doodle. Long term, it's cheaper. Better for the environment. Kids are the new boats, he said. Yes, like kids are nice, but most people can't afford them. So it's nice to have friends with one, but not to have one yourself. Okay, anti-family, anti-human. Next story. A week ago, Biden released an executive order on advancing biotechnology and biomanufacturing innovation for sustainable, safe, and secure American bioeconomy. In the order, Biden administration calls for dramatically increasing funding for biotech development, including gene editing. Quote, for biotechnology and biomanufacturing to help us achieve our societal goals. Could I ask, because maybe I missed the memo and the meeting, when did we decide our societal goals? And those societal goals, what does bioengineering have to do with it? To help us achieve our societal goals, the United States needs to invest in foundational scientific capabilities. We need to develop genetic engineering technologies and techniques to be able to write circuitry for cells and predictably program biology in the same way which we write software and program computers. We need the power to unlock biological data, including through computing tools and artificial intelligence. We also must ensure the use of biotechnology and biomanufacturing are ethical and responsible and are centered on a foundation of equity and common public good, advancing racial equality and support the underserved communities through federal government. They must also be consistent with the respect for human rights. Okay, so we have an equitable investment in biotechnology. Okay, I'm going to give you one more story, and all of these stories will link together. All of these stories will show you better get to a group of people that think like you do and start talking about these things, taking them seriously, and standing up for them. You cannot be silent anymore. I'll show you what's being drawn. I'll give you one last story, and I think it'll all come together for you. Last one. I'm going to take you back to 2017. At the World Economic Forum, they were doing an interview. Klaus Schwab was doing an interview with Sergey, what's-his-face, from Google, Sergey Brin. They were talking about transhumanism and forcing implants into the brains of humans and tracking their every thought. Transhumanist artificial intelligence touches every single one of Google's main projects, ranging from search to photos to ads, Brin said. He said, it touches everything we do, end quote. So now, after he says all of this, Schwab tells those in the audience that within 10 years, everyone on Earth will be wearing brain implants. Within 10 years, that would be 2027. This will allow the WEF and associates to, quote, measure your brain waves. Can you imagine, I'm quoting, in 10 years when we're sitting here, we have an implant in our brains so I can immediately feel, because all of you will have implants. I can measure your brain waves. I can immediately tell you how the people react or feel how the people react to your answers. You cannot stop it, Schwab bragged. Okay. Can you imagine any technology that is more dangerous than an implant that allows the government or anyone to know exactly what you're feeling and thinking? I can't think of one. Let me go back through the stories. Let me go back one step. Genetic engineering and technologies to be able to write circuitry to predictably program biology in the same way we write software and program computers. Okay? That part of that will be brain implants, but more importantly, that is about having the children you want. That's about perfecting the races. That's about making sure you weed out the wrong thoughts and the wrong kind of people. And you go to someone intentionally running someone over because they disagree with you politically and they think that's okay. Gang, we are going to make the Nazis look like rookies if we don't get off this road right now. We all have to stand together in peace and love, and we have to go out and vote. 50% turnout is the voter turnout in an off-year election. 50%. It better be 100% of independents and people who understand the fire that's coming this way.